video number 5 for viola players. And in this video, we are going to play number 2 through 5 in your Essential Elements book. So go ahead and have your book on the stand, open to page number 4. Okay? Now, before we do that, I do want to do a little bit of echoing first, and we'll do that with the metronome. But let's first get your instrument up on your shoulder. So remember how we're going to start this. Stretch up nice and tall. If you're still holding by here, that's great. That's totally fine. Stretch it nice and tall. Shift to the left. And then bring it down. Make sure the shoulder rest cradles your shoulder. Okay, find the bone in your face. Find the hump on the chin rest. Stretch your neck. Clamp it down. And hopefully let go. If you can't let go yet, that's okay. That's fairly normal. But in the next couple days, you want to be able to do that. If you cannot let go and it's secure, hold it right here. Okay? So now with your right hand, make shape of an L with your thumb and your index finger. Put your thumb on the side of the fingerboard there. And remember, we're going to pluck the D string. The D string is next to the skinny string. Okay? Here's the D string. I put my finger just to the other side of the D string and then pull. We're going to do this with the metronome. If you can do this without your left hand, please do so. Play 4 open Ds. Echo me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go. D, 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 D. Try again. D, 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 D. Now D, D. Now switch the A string. Echo me. 2, 3, 4. Go. A, 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 A. Again. Echoing me. And A, 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 A. Now we're going to switch. We're going to do 2 Ds and then 2 As. Echo that. D, D, A, A. Go. D, D, A, A. Reverse. A, and then D. A, A, D, D. Now do 3 Ds and 1 A. Echo me. D, 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 A. Go. D, 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 A. Reverse. A, 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 D. Go. A, D. Okay? Now, I want you to look at number 2 in your book. And I'm going to come up close here so that we can kind of look at it together. Now I want you to notice, you need to remember all of this stuff from the previous video, okay? So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 measures in this first line, okay? This measure has 1, 2, 3 quarter notes and 1 quarter rest, okay? This one has the same thing. Then 4 quarter notes, then 3 quarter notes and a quarter rest. Hopefully remember what to do with the rest. You don't rest your brain doing the rest, you count. You don't pluck, you don't make sound, but you count during that rest and make sure it gets 1 beat. All right, so then we have, of course, the music staff. Now the notes live on spaces and on lines, in spaces and on lines in the staff. So this right here, this is where your open D lives. It lives on 1, 2, 3, the 3rd space. We're going to have a lot of videos that have stuff about reading notes. You may be practicing reading notes quite a bit. But right now, I'd like for you to kind of memorize where open D is. It's on the 3rd space. We number the spaces from the bottom. 1, 2, 3. All right, so the fact that that little D is in there, that's not what tells you you play D. The book is being nice to you right now. You're sort of reading notes right now. Not really, because the D is right there. All right, but that D is going to go away. So you need to know that D lives on the 3rd space. Okay, so we are going to play 3 Ds. D, you're going to pluck D 3 times. D, 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 rest. D, 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 rest. D, 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 rest. Pretty easy, right? When we get to this one, it's basically the same thing. But now, see how it says, let's read open A? The open just means that you're not putting any fingers down. We don't know how to do that yet. You're going to learn that later on. We don't know how to put fingers down, but what open means is that you're plucking a string that has no fingers down on it, okay? So let's read open A. Well, the couple of clues tell us that we're reading open A. There's a fact that it's called let's read open A, and then also, see that little A inside it? Try not to look at that too much. I don't want you looking at that too much because it's going to go away. You look at it now, you're going to rely on it. Don't rely on it because it will go away soon, very soon. How do we know it's an A? This is the next note I want you to memorize. A lives right above the staff. So D lives in the third space. A lives right above the staff. And you'll do the same thing. A, rest. Pluck. A, rest. And so on. When we get to this one, we have 3 Ds and a rest. And then we have to switch strings. 3 As and a rest. Then 2 Ds, 2 As, and 3 Ds. So we're going to be going back and forth on that one, as well as on number 5. So each song is going to get a little trickier. What I would recommend you do with any of these videos is that if you mess up on one of these, pause the video. You can go back in the video and do it with me, or just try it on your own. Either way is fine. But you're not going to be able to do the more difficult songs if you can't do the easy ones. So if you mess up on number 2, pause this video and get number 2 right before you try to go into number 3. Okay? So, instrument back up, over your head, shift it to the left, cradle on your shoulder, bump, bump, stretch, clamp. If you can do it without your left hand, wonderful. Now, when we're looking at our music, the music is in front of me right here. Look where my scroll is. So I want you to start standing straight towards your music stand. But now take your left foot and put it forward. Okay, now our scroll is facing towards the music stand. We're going to look over the top of our scroll at the music. That's the right way to sit towards your stand. Okay, let's try that now. If you need to back up a little so you can see the music, that's fine. Number 2. 1, 2, right, say, and go. D, 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 rest. D, 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 rest. D, 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 D. And I'd like you to try to let go if you weren't already with no hands. If you're already with no hands, yay for you. If you're holding here, totally normal for the next couple days. Let go at the end. If you mess that up, pause the video and get it right before you go on with us. Go on to number 3. Now we're just plucking the A string. Okay? Good posture. Bring your right hand up and A's. 2, red, say, and go. A, rest. 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 Now, if you finished before me, there's a chance a couple things happen. Chance you didn't play enough A's, that you got lost in the music. One of the things we have to do is train our eyeballs to follow along in the music. Okay? That's another thing that our brain is having to think about. Keeping our spot in the music. So even though you're like, I can memorize that real easy, start training your eyeballs to move along in the music, because that is yet another thing we have to do. The other thing that could have happened is that if you finished before me, you went too fast. Okay? Remember this, you're going to hear me say this a bunch. There's no such thing as the right note at the wrong time. So if you finished before me, you were wrong. If you're like, oh, I played the right number of notes. If it's not at the right time, it's not correct. So make sure you're right with the metronome every single time. Okay, let's go ahead and go to number 4. And let me just tell you that typically people that are doing pretty well, their biggest mistake is going too fast. All right, so keep that in mind. Try to play exactly with me and with the metronome. Number 4, ideally in the left hand. Number 4, and 1, 2, number 4, and go. D, D, D. Now switch the A string. A, rest, 2 Ds, 2 A's, 3 Ds, and rest. Okay? If you missed that, it was probably in measure 3 because you weren't ready to switch. If you missed it, pause the video and try it on your own until you get it right. Going on number 5. Now, I'm going to tell you in measure 2, some of you are going to mess up. Why? Because of the rhythm. The rhythm meaning the combination of quarter notes and quarter rest. Later on, your rhythm will get much more complicated, but now it's just quarter notes and quarter rest. We haven't seen that rhythm yet. D, rest. A, rest. Be careful of that. Okay? Number 5. 1, 3 Ds and 1 A. That's also tricky. 1, 2, number 5, and go. D, 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 A, D, rest. A, rest. D, D, Okay, let's try that one more time with me. Okay, if you got it right, try it without your left hand. Number 5. 1, 2, right, say, and go. D, 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 A, D, rest, A, rest, D, D, A, D, A, D, rest. Let go if you haven't let go, and see where you are. If you had to adjust, that means you're starting to let your hand hold your instrument. Right now, the most important thing you can get right is this. It all comes from this, a good instrument position. Make sure you're standing up nice and tall. Give me a strong posture. A strong posture is going to equal strong sound. Making sure your head and shoulders are doing your job. That's going to allow your left hand to do all sorts of fancy stuff, fast notes and things called vibrato, all sorts of stuff later on. We got to get this right, okay? Your main focus right now should be playing exactly with the metronome, okay? And, of course, accurate notes, but very good posture. That's what your focus should be right now. If this seems too easy, go for perfection. All right, perfection is not easy. All right, and I'll see you in the next video.